When I moved to Cedarville after my divorce, I didn't think I'd find myself involved in anything other than rebuilding my life and focusing on my graphic design business. I'd rented a modest little home with a white picket fence and a backyard big enough for my golden retriever, Max. It wasn't much, but it was mine, and it was quiet. That peace, however, shifted when my sister Danielle called me one Friday morning. Danielle had always been the more stable sibling. Married to her high school sweetheart, Matt, she lived about an hour away with her 15-year-old son, Jacob. I'd been close to Jacob since he was born. He used to follow me around like a shadow during family holidays. Smart, a little shy, and full of curiosity, Jacob had always been a sweet kid. Danielle sounded tired. "Melissa," she said, "can I ask you something kind of big?" I leaned back in my chair.
Sure.
"What's going on?" She hesitated, then let out a long breath. "Jacob's been having a tough time lately. School's been hard, and well, Matt and I have been arguing a lot. It's starting to wear on him. He's withdrawn. He barely speaks at dinner anymore. He asked if he could come stay with you for a week or two, just to clear his head." I paused.
Wow.
I didn't realize things were that bad. "Neither did I," she admitted. "But he said he feels safe with you. He told me, 'Aunt Melissa gets me.' That hit me in the chest. I didn't have kids of my own, but Jacob had always felt like part of me." "Of course," I said without thinking. "Tell him to pack his bags." He arrived the next evening with a duffel bag, his sketch pad, and a camera slung around his shoulder. He'd grown taller, his voice deeper than I remembered, but the moment he saw Max barking happily at the door, his face lit up in a way that told me this trip was more than just a break from home. It was a lifeline. We settled into a quiet routine. He helped me cook dinner, played fetch with Max in the backyard, and sometimes we'd sit together on the porch and talk about everything from comic books to constellations. He told me about how school had changed, how friendships felt hollow, how his parents' arguments had started to make him feel like a ghost in his own house. One evening, we sat on the porch watching the sun dip below the trees. Jacob looked thoughtful, his fingers tapping the side of his soda can. "Can I tell you something kinda big?" he asked. "Always," I replied.
He looked down.
"I have a wish." I smiled. "Okay, I'm listening." He hesitated. "I want to pursue photography. Like, seriously. I know it sounds stupid, and I know I'm just a kid, but when I'm behind a lens, it's like everything makes sense. I feel seen. I feel like I have a voice." My heart swelled. "That doesn't sound stupid at all." He looked up, eyes shining. "But Mom and Dad think it's a hobby. They want me to focus on math and science. And I get it, they want me to have options. But what if I already know what I want?" I studied his face. He meant every word. "What if I said yes?" I asked. "To what?" "To helping you take this seriously." He blinked, unsure. "Really?" "I mean it," I said. "Let's do it. Let's build a little project, something you can be proud of. A portfolio. Maybe an online gallery. I'll help with the design stuff. You bring your photos." His grin could have lit up the sky. "You'd really do that?" I already said yes, didn't I? The next morning, he was up before sunrise, camera in hand, ready to chase the perfect shot. I gave him a folder on my desktop where he could upload his photos, and I showed him the basics of editing software. His photos were beautiful, raw, honest, filled with emotion. He had a knack for finding beauty in the mundane. The rusted mailbox on the corner, the way the light caught the rim of a coffee cup, Max sleeping with his nose buried in the blanket. A week turned into 2. 2 weeks turned into a month. Danielle checked in often, relieved to hear Jacob was thriving. One day, she drove down to see him. They talked for hours in the backyard while I stayed inside, giving them space. When she came back in, she hugged me hard. "Thank you," she whispered. I nodded. "He's finding himself." She smiled through her tears. "You gave him a safe place to do that." We kept working on his project. He called it Reflections and wrote a small piece about how each image reflected how he saw the world, how it captured feelings he didn't always know how to say out loud. I built him a simple website, and within days, he had emails from people praising his work, other teens, photographers, even a local journalist who asked to interview him. The day his article ran in the Cedarville Gazette, he held the paper like it was gold. "Aunt Melissa," he whispered, This is everything." I teared up. "You did this, Jacob." I just said yes. He was invited to showcase his work in a local gallery for youth artists. The night of the opening, he wore a suit for the first time and stood beside his photos with a confidence I hadn't seen before. Danielle and Matt came, proud and emotional. Matt even admitted he hadn't realized how serious Jacob was about photography until he saw the photos framed on those walls. After the show, Jacob asked if he could speak. He stood before the small crowd and cleared his throat. "A few months ago, I was lost," he began. "I didn't know how to explain what I was feeling or who I wanted to be. And then I came here to my aunt's house, and she didn't laugh when I told her my dream.
She said yes.
And that changed everything." I stood in the back, tissues in hand, my heart bursting. When the school year began again, Jacob returned home with a different energy. His relationship with his parents improved. Danielle and Matt supported his passion more openly. He joined the photography club at school and even mentored younger students. And every week, without fail, he called me, just to talk, to ask for feedback, or to share his latest work. One afternoon, about 6 months after that night on the porch, I received a large envelope in the mail. Inside was a framed photo, one of the first he ever took during his stay. It was a picture of me, sitting in my chair, Max at my feet, the early morning light streaming in behind me. Tucked into the frame was a note. "Aunt Melissa, this is the moment my life changed. You didn't just say yes to a wish. You believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. I love you." I held that frame in my hands for a long time. Sometimes, all it takes is one person saying yes. One open door. One quiet moment of trust. Jacob had a wish.
I said yes.
And that yes became the beginning of everything.